Welcome back to Dr. SuperCoach YouTube for Pigs Round 22 Captaincy Recommendations. We're nearly there. This is nearly the end of the road. Few more weeks. But wowee, another huge scoring week last week. I think I read somewhere that the weekly winning score actually set a SuperCoach record for the highest score ever. I'm not sure if that's true or not. I haven't fact-checked that, or I wouldn't even know how to. But congratulations to them anyway. That is a massive score. And there were some massive scores from popular players that led to that. I got that Brodie Grundy 200 as my vice captain, and I was very, very happy with that one. That felt so good. But I also had Cherry and Rosie Donuts, so I really needed that Brodie 200 to stay competitive. This week, we move into week 2 of SuperCoach League finals, and there are no second chances now. If you lose, you go home. So let's get stuck in and help you pick a big captain option to win you those matchups. Vice captains. Number 4, Jeremy Cameron. Jeremy is leading the Coleman medal and it doesn't look like he's going to let go of that title. He's kicked 22 goals in his past 3 games, which has given him a SuperCoach 3-round average of 125. And now a date with the tanking Bombers. Essendon are the 4th easiest matchup for key forwards over the last 10 games, and they've given up some huge scores in that time. We can look at Jake Stringer popping a 110, which is 33 points above his current form. We can even look at Jack Buller last week scoring an 88. That's 36 points above his form line. But really, we just need to go back 2 weeks to remember what Aaron Norton and Sam Darcy combined for over 300 points between the two of them. Yeah, 150 to Darcy, 153 to Norton. Those are insane scores from big men, and with Geelong looking to feed Jezza, try and get him to that 100 goal mark, another big score could be on the cards here. I don't normally like recommending key forwards in a captaincy video, but when it's a higher upside VC shout, we can play around with it and have some fun. If you own the future Coleman medalists, why not have some fun with the VC option on the Friday night? Number 3, Jack Sinclair. With the explosion of Nasiah, people have been sleeping a bit on Jack Sinclair. And it isn't without reason. He did have a pretty lean patch of form between rounds 12 and round 18. He was a bit down, but now he is definitely back. Don't believe me? He's got a 3-round average of 127, which has come from scores of 120, 132 and 128. And do you know what has happened in the last 3 games? Nasiah has moved out of the backline. That should make you prick your ears up. Over the last 3 games, Nasiah has averaged 74% CBAs, as the Saints look to see who can fill their midfield mix outside of Steele and McRae. But this has freed up Jack Sinclair to be a high-volume distributor out of the backline, like he has been in the past. Sinclair is back to averaging over 30 disposals in that time, and he's taking the majority of St Kilda's kick-ins. Over the last 3 weeks, there have been 30 St Kilda kick-ins. Jack has taken 21 of them. That's 70%. That's close to a monopoly, and it's an indication that with Wanganeen Miller moving his game inside, the backline is well and truly Jack Sinclair's. And he gets the perfect matchup for that this week. The Tigers are the 2nd easiest opponent for designated kickers to score against. They've recently given up scores of 107 to John Noble, 106 to Josh Dacos, 119 to Liam Duggan, 142 to Archie Roberts, 133 to Zach Guthrie, and that big 177 to Nick Dacos when he was playing that hybrid defender midfield role from 2 weeks ago. But let's not forget that Jack Sinclair actually had 40 disposals and 162 SuperCoach in this exact matchup earlier in the year, and Nasiah was playing defence then, so there's ball to go round. Nasiah might be the name on everyone's lips right now, but don't sleep on Jack Sinclair as a sneaky VC option this week. Max Holmes and Bailey Smith. Apologies for this gruesome Frankenstein picture. I spliced them together and I was like, this is going to work, and it just looks, it's haunting. But it's a bit of fun too. Look, I don't even know how to split these guys. Max seems like the safer option, as Bailey Smith's score seems really heavily reliant on his kicking efficiency, which isn't his strength. But Bailey does seem to have the higher variance, and he can go big when he gets that kicking right. But to be fair, Max has also shown a great ceiling. How do you pick between the two? I don't know. Last week, Max scored 154 to Bailey's 119. But the week before, Bailey scored 156 to Holmes's 130. Both are in incredible form and both should absolutely destroy Essendon. So maybe I'm just going to recommend them both and you toss a coin about which one you VC. The Bombers are the fourth easiest matchup for inside midfielders. That's good, but that's not all. The Bombers are also the easiest matchup in the league for designated kickers. And I consider Max and Bailey to fit that description with how well they cover the ground, how well they get back to help their defenders. I mean, Max Holmes has taken 16 kick-ins this year despite playing midfield. And Bailey is very often on the end of them as the relief kick out of defence. And it's not just in defence. These two also get forward and hit the scoreboard. These are two of the fittest players in the league, and an Essendon team that are not trying to win games are not going to be able to stop them. Some scores against Essendon from some hard-running guns recently include Errol's 115, Bont's 169, Green's 150, Anderson's 127, Blakey's 155, and Ash's 120. So there are bulk points up for grabs here, and the only thing that could limit Max or Bailey from a giant score is probably their own disposal efficiency. But if they get that right, the sky's the limit here, and which one you choose, I'm going to leave that up to you, because I think they're both incredible VT options. I didn't really want to leave either one of them out. But number one, Nasaya. We know Nasaya is that guy. We know he has scores of 155, 86, 149, 162, and 108 in his last 5 games. We know that he has a 3-round average of 140. And we know that he gets a matchup against Richmond this week. This is a layup pick, right? Right? Yeah, it is correct. As I mentioned earlier, Nasai is averaging 74% CBAs over his last 3 games, as St Kilda have moved him into the engine room. In that time, he's averaged 35 disposals and 2 goals a game since that move. 35 and 2! Those are elite numbers. And the good news is that Richmond are not stopping that. A game at the wide open MCG should suit his running power. And I know you want to hear some midfielder scores against Richmond to help you make up your mind. Well, let's go. Noah Anderson had a 147 last week, and Matt Rao had a 134 in the same game. Prior to that, we had that Nick Dacos 177 playing that floaty around inside mid but also back row. And Harley Reid had a 122. And that's just the past 3 weeks. There are some elite vice-captain options this week between the Saints and the Cats boys, and whoever you pick I think should do well. But Nasaya might just be the pick of the lot. Pod captain. My pod recommendation bounced back in a big way last week. I told you I was going for a boom or bust play with Rowan Marshall, and boy did he boom. 144 Supercoach against the cherryless North Melbourne. Well, how the turntables, as this week Cherry returns from his suspension and immediately storms back into my captaincy video. Owned by only 12% of the top 1%, this is a real unique at the pointy end of the competition. And I really feel for those 12%, as it's likely they just didn't have the trades to move him on. If you were forced to hold, I think Cherry's going to reward you this weekend. He's off a forced rest, he's going to be feeling fresh, and he goes up against Kieran Briggs, who has actually now overtaken West Coast and is now the easiest ruck matchup over the last 10 games. You heard that right. GWS are now the easiest ruck matchup in the league. You want some data? The last 4 premium ruckmen to face the Giants have scored an average of 161. That's not a typo, 161. And I'm not including some of the smaller, lesser ruckmen like Blitzarves and whoever else they've played. I'm talking about premiums here. This comes from a Nank 142, a Witts 163, a Grundy 137, and the highest score of the season so far, Tim English's 202. Those scores average out at plus 40 points per game on their form lines. So that means Briggs and GWS allowing premium ruckman to go plus 40. Cherry's form line is down a bit at the moment because he got beaten by Gawn right before his suspension and he didn't take advantage of the matchups prior to that, so he looks a bit less on paper. But even so, if you add plus 40 to Tristan's form line, that gives us a juicy 146. And he's got scope to be even more if he really pops off here. So if you're one of the 12% of owners at the pointy end of the competition, this is the captain that could really escalate you up the rankings this week. Number 5, let's go into our captains. Matt Rowell. Matt Rowell just keeps getting it done for owners. He's got a 5-round average of 138, and now he's got a date with Carlton. The Blues have become an easy matchup for inside midfielders over the last 10 games, as their season's kind of slipped away. We've seen the likes of Nick Dacos do a 127 and Josh Dunkley do a 151 against them recently. We have seen some lower scores like Sarong's 75 and Petrarca's 89, so it seems like the Blues are still okay at locking down the opposition's most important midfielder, like they did to Sarong last week. And if that happens this week, I expect them to put the attention into Noah Anderson. That could allow Matt to run free and get up to his usual clearance and tackle business. The Gold Coast are in a genuine race for a top 4 finish, and they're going to be looking to make another statement in this game. Rowell and Anderson are vital to making that happen, and I don't see any reason for either of them to slow down now. That Josh Dunkley 151 that I mentioned, that came about thanks to 13 tackles. If there's anyone else in the league that you would bet on to have 13 tackles this weekend, it may be Matt Rowell. And that's always going to provide a safe floor for a captaincy choice for him. Number 4, Maxi, big boy. Max Gawn is cooking. He's got a 3-round average of 135. He didn't really rip West Coast apart like we thought he would, and non-owners potentially got let off the hook a bit there, although a 131 is still a very good score. This week he goes head-to-head with Tim English, who is showing up on DFS as a tough matchup. The Bulldogs have been limiting ruckman all year in general, although they have allowed some big scores to big, strong tap ruckmen. Just those guys that can push English around and get a lot of hit-outs have been able to get the better of them. So I'll explain that a bit here. English has limited Briggs, Goldstein, Fort, Nank and Marshall in recent weeks, but he's also allowed a Riley O'Brien 108, a Cherry 126, a Meek 134, and a Grundy 179. Some big scores from those more powerfully built wrestling ruckmen. And we know Gawn can wrestle with the best of them. He's not as much as jumper anymore with the new rule change. He's really adapted and he maintains his spot as one of the best hit-out ruckmen in the league. Max wins a hit-out in 47% of his ruck contests this season, as opposed to Tim English's 37%. So that should see Max comfortably win the hit-out battle, and as long as a bunch of those hit-outs go to his teammates' advantage, we should be looking at a very solid captaincy score this week. But now let's go. We're getting into the serious captain's options this year. I think these top 3 are a bit of a level above the other guys. Tom Green against the second easiest midfield in the competition. Consider me intrigued. Tom himself has been up and down lately, but looking at it further, his big games are coming against easy opponents, and his hard games are leading to low scores. The good news here is that this is certainly an easy opponent. Midfielder scores against the Kangaroos in recent weeks include a Bailey Smith 156, a Max Holmes 130, that incredible Isaac Heaney 197, a Tom Liberatore 171, a Bont 133, a Newcomb 119, and a Caleb Sarong 142. Whew. Big scores there. Most of those players that are scoring really well on North are those inside midfield bulls, the clearance beasts. Those are the types that are really taking advantage. That's why I'm recommending Tom Green here over Finn Callaghan. Although the fact that Smith and Holmes torch North as well also bodes well for Callaghan if you have him. But Tom here, the inside clearance bull, I mean, Isaac Heaney had 13 clearances and destroyed them. Tom Green could do that here. Tom has a 150 in his last 3 weeks, and I wouldn't be shocked to see him go close to that again in this game. Number 2, captain, Geordie D. Jordan Dawson. The Crows are on the hunt for top spot on the ladder, and Jordan Dawson is leading the charge. He's got a 149 and a 157 in his last month, highlighting his ceiling. And don't forget, he's already played West Coast this season for a score of 139. The Eagles have actually now overtaken North to become the easiest matchup for inside midfielders over the last 10 games. They've allowed a Viney 121, a Petrarca 117, a Brayshaw 112, a Hopper 139, a Taranto 136, a Butters 154, Wines 143, Callahan 144, and Dacos 131. Whew, you get the picture. And now with no Harley Reid or Jack Hutchinson, they've been running a CBA mix of Elijah Hewitt, Brady Hoff, and Tim Kelly. Ooh, not really inspiring, is it? The Adelaide midfield should have their way with the Eagles in this one, and Dawson is the main banana in that bunch. The battle for top spot on the ladder may well come down to percentage, and surely Jordan and the Crows will be circling this game as a real percentage boosting opportunity. It's the last game of the round. It's one of the safest captain options you could ask for. But is it number one? No, because Marcus Bontempelli is number one. Jordan Dawson may be a captain with plenty to prove over the final 3 weeks of the season, but so is Marcus Bontempelli. The Bont and his doggies are in a real arm wrestle to even make finals. Currently sitting in 9th, with every game having finals implications, I don't see a world where Marcus just coasts home. He's got a 5-round average of 151, absolutely destroying his opponents in recent weeks. That includes some huge ceiling scores of 151, 169 and 174. And this week, the matchup is brilliant. A date with the Melbourne Demons, who are a positive matchup for inside midfielders over the last 10 games. In truth, the Demons actually appear to be more restrictive over the last 5 games, but I don't believe it. Let's have a look at who they've actually played. They played West Coast, St Kilda, Carlton and North. There's no real premium Supercoach midfielders in that group, so no wonder there haven't been good scores against them. If we rewind a few weeks prior, we see Matt Rao getting a 147, we see Touk Miller getting a 122, Jason Horne-Francis 137, Steele Seibot a 120. I think that gives it more of a picture of what Melbourne are really like. Playing the second last game of the round, the Bond is once again a prime captain option for us to fall back on. And this one's fun because it allows us to have a crack at some of those fun high upside VCs like Nasiah, Bailey, Max, Jack or Jezza. Ooh, there we go. They're my favourite 10 captain options this week, but there's actually plenty more that we're probably a bit stiff to miss the cut. So you could do it in draft, or actually some of these are even classic options too. I really like Darcy Cameron. I think Meek's been giving up a lot of scores, so I think Darcy could score well. Nick Dacos is always an option. I really liked the 3 weeks prior when he was doing that half midfield, half back role. But against Brisbane on the weekend, he went back to his full-time midfielder. So I'm not really sure what role he's playing. Is that him and his rest done? Or did they just put him in the middle a lot because they really needed to win that game and they were losing, and they did lose? I'm not sure. If Nick Dacos is playing full-time midfield against Hawthorn, I've got no interest. But if he's playing in that half-back role, I do have an interest. Then both these big boy ruckmen, Toby Nankervis and Rowan Marshall, going head-to-head. They're both easy matchups. I remember over my time doing these captaincy videos, whenever these two guys play, I was looking at it. There's been plenty of times when they play each other and they both go 130 against each other. That could very easily happen again. Talked about Matt Rao, Noah Anderson, especially in draft, I think is still a really good captain option. Jordan Clark, like Porter been giving up a fair bit to defenders. Jordan Clark's in good form. Maybe he could go well. Finn Callahan, because, I've told you how good Tom Green's going to go against North. I think Finn will as well. And then there's quite a few options here for the Crows, actually. Really like Riley O'Brien as a draft captain. I quite like Isaac Rankin if he can hit the scoreboard. I really, really like Riley Thilthorpe. I was thinking, is there a way I can get him into the top 10? But with me recommending Jezza, I've already got one key forward in there. Plus, he plays the last game of the round. Would I actually recommend you captaining Riley in Classic? Probably not. But in draft, yeah, no, I definitely would. This could be a big bag for Riley. Could be a big score. Thank you very much for watching. That is all. I'm going to leave you now. I'm actually going to give you a little treat and play the entire Piggy song. I've just been giving a snippet after each one, but, I'm going to give you the whole couple of minutes. So if you want to stick around, listen to that song, go ahead. What I'm going to do is, I think I'm going to VC Nasaya. That sounds like a bit of fun. And then maybe I'm someone that had to hold Cherry, so maybe I roll that into a Cherry C. I might go Nasaya VC. Hope he spikes against Richmond. If not, I'm very comfortable with Cherry against Briggs. See ya. Have a good weekend.